Hey, it's Jessica DaMassa with WTF Health. I'm here at Webit in beautiful Sofia, Bulgaria, where it's finally stopped raining, and I've got Eugene Borukhovich with me, the global head of digital health for Bayer, because we're in Europe.
That's good, Bayer.
All right.
Well.
Thank you. All right, Eugene. So I've been hearing a lot about digital therapeutics at this conference, and really, anytime I come to Europe, I feel I hear more and more about it. Is this the future for pharma? We're going to have nothing else but digital therapeutics now. We're getting rid of the pill.
So, it's interesting you pointed out. I just saw a tweet. I think it was actually Mark Slouse, but correct me. We'll find out later. We'll find out. But he tweeted something. It was a job opening somewhere in a pharma organization, and he even said, is digital therapeutics becoming the new pharma? And it's kind of interesting, right? Because to take a molecule from the idea kind of to all the way to market, 10 to 12 years, and there's a rigorous process. And if you think about digital therapeutics and its definition, it is evidence-based, scientifically validated, and ultimately reimbursed. So if you think about that digital therapeutics and what it takes, yes, it's a software solution, maybe working with a molecule or without, but it is mimicking the process. Right. And actually, if you, thank Digital Therapeutics Alliance, right? A lot of the work that they're doing, the question becomes, can we still speed up that process even in the software space? And if you think about even the clinical trials perspective, think about the pharma companies working with CROs or a company like Eugene Health. Yeah. Should you first internalize some of those? And we've seen actually a company apply to our this year's program already. It's a platform almost like an Eugene Health, but internalized, right? Okay. So it's actually interesting where the whole market is going, and yes, it's mimicking it, but obviously, hopefully, with much shorter time frames, and we've been seeing it. One other thing, if you think about even Omada, right, they're 8 to 10 years old, and so maybe a few years ago they started getting reimbursed. Right. So we've been able to squeeze some time. The question becomes, can we do it faster?
Do you think that there's the tendency here, though? Because it feels like, a couple of years ago we were all with digital health applications, and then this evolved into the category now of digital therapeutics, and it was the whole, really, life sciences led with Beyond the Pill. And as we're starting to put the clinical validation requirements and the guidelines requirements and the FDA requirements around this stuff, are we in danger of mimicking the process too much? And if so, how do we prevent that from happening?
I think it is being prevented in a certain case. Okay. Entrepreneurs are driving this at a much better, faster speed. I think the regulators are catching up. We've seen everything from, FDA, kind of the TSA type of program. I know I was just spent 10 days in China. There's a lot of conversation. I haven't seen the actual data around Chinese FDA is trying to move quicker as well. Yeah. So I think the world is realizing we need to bring these solutions quicker. And so is there a danger? Yes, but I think it's that pull and push between the evidence and the speed and agility of younger companies. Right. So I do think that we are and we will be able to speed this up versus completely replicating the process.
The balance is tough because especially lately I feel like we've seen some of these startups, I feel like Theranos just kicked over this whole domino effect of startups being looked at differently. Yeah. And what are they doing and how is it validated and how are they billing me? And all of a sudden there's been a spotlight shined on this area. Do you think that that's going to have a negative impact?
I think with any industry shifts, and this is a little bit, I know Chrissy Farr actually wrote and tweeted a bunch of things around some of the latest happenings, whether Ubiome, rewinding back to Theranos. I think at the end of the day, venture capital needs to make 10x. Right, and so I think it is also up to the founders and the ecosystem to do double check and triple checking because we're still dealing with people's lives and our biology and that safety factor. So I think it will I wouldn't say autocorrect. I think it is with the force of the startup, the venture capital, the science, and the clinical aspect. It will autocorrect, and I think we're going to see it in the next tranche of companies, for sure.
Okay, so speaking of the next tranche of companies, with G4A at Bayer. I mean, so has this impacted your investment thesis moving forward? Are you looking like mandated by the organization now at nothing but digital therapeutics and all of our little apps and other things are gone? I mean, what's happening?
Well, so I think we kind of, it's no longer about apps, number one, right? It's really, at the end of the day, yes, it's behavior modification. It's understanding the end customer / consumer / patient. There's no mandate on digital therapeutics. And I think with the team, we've been actually driving quite a lot of that internally, but also, with the ecosystem. It's one of the topics that we had listed, but, we're taking the approach, and this is a bit of kind of hacking that corporate culture, is really working with our P&L owners, with those challenge owners to create those challenges around the areas where we already operate in, and taking that molecule and, yes, packaging it with a digital solution, so that's digital health. And we can go into deeper discussion on that. I think the digital therapeutics, we've talked about this, it is a shining light, and there's evidence coming out, but there's much more, right? We have 18 challenges that's been listed on the website. It took a lot of curation with the teams, and we are serious to take a lot of them forward as well.
That's exciting. And so, I mean, let's go deeper on digital health and the cute little box you just drew around that. When you and I spoke at JP Morgan at the beginning of 2019, you said to me digital health as a term could go away completely and just be chopped up into these little things like digital therapeutics or some of the other ones that are out there. Still think the same, or has something happened this year that maybe has swayed you the other way?
Absolutely. I think whether it's digital health or even digital therapeutics, at some point it'll be therapeutics. And therapeutics with the small molecule, software, large molecule, whatever that is, I think the word digital and would just kind of fall away because we're just operating in a digital world today. And I've actually talked about this, that my prediction, I mean, we still have, biology, right? That's our bodies, but then there's environment. And I think a lot of that will come together. So the biotech, digitech, and probably 5-7 years, we're actually not going to see that much of a difference.
Is there anything that you're not excited about anymore that you were hot on perhaps last go around? I mean, G4A, I know as a program has evolved quite a bit, but I mean, like last go around, I mean, you definitely had your mandates from the corporate heads of what to look for, but is there anything that you're just not?
I think the days of, while we always tell the startup to start with something, right? And especially around this kind of patient-physician communication, and I know this still is a real
Slack
issue.
for healthcare?
The Slack for healthcare.
So what's that for health?
You can keep going. Telegram, Snapchat, whatever you want to call it. But even the fact that you focus in on a particular disease, I think we'll see some more consolidation in the space because it needs to be. We keep talking about that it's a silo effect on a particular disease, but thinking about comorbidities and what disease leads to the next one. And if we only look at it kind of with one lens, we're not going to get anywhere. So I think, all of those startups that have been focused with really great diligence and content and details, I think we're going to start seeing the consolidation. So I'm less excited about the point solutions. And that's actually, we advanced our program this year too, because we did not, we have 1,800 applications last year. We've kind of squeezed the funnel a bit. We put up a dual two-way NDA up front. We're really making it tougher because the market matured.
It did. And so, I mean, on that same front, I mean, we're all kind of waiting for we're waiting for really Livongo to do its IPO. I mean, and God knows, I mean, if this has already happened by the time this is out there, who knows what they've got cooking over there. But, I mean, everybody's looking at this at digital health or, whatever you want to call it, health at this point. I mean, at that IPO in particular is kind of being a seminal moment in this space. And we got here pretty quick. And so, I mean, as far as like...
10 years is quick?
I mean, for healthcare?
Yes, agreed. And actually, as much as, I love our friends at Rock Health, Startup Health, tracking the numbers, I've always tweeted as soon as the reports come out, it's great to see the trend in the investments, but where are the exits? And the reason there are exits, in theory, as a proxy, is that they're actually making a difference in outcomes, right? Yeah. So I think we're starting to see that, and actually a lot of the, I'll say, health and wellness companies, like Noom, for example, raising $60 million just recently, what they're cooking behind the scenes, right? And what are the propositions towards that B2B or improving the healthcare outcomes and marrying that with the health and wellness world.
Exciting times,
is.
man.
Yeah.
Exciting times. All right. Well, we'll catch up with you again, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, Eugene. Thanks
you.
so much for the insights. I'm Jessica DaMassa with WTF Health here with Eugene from Bayer. Thanks so much for joining us.